Hello, welcome back to Vinyl Show and Tell. Happy New Year everyone, hope everyone's doing good. So, the 2024 vinyl tag, finally got round to doing it. I'm glad I'm doing it this year because I missed 2023's and I wasn't too happy about that. By the time I got round to it, the ship had sailed. And this one's a bit on the late side, but as I always say, better late than never. So if you're watching this now, I don't think it needs much introduction. It's the 20 questions set by Rob Walker, and thank you to Rob for setting them. So yeah, let's get straight on with it. Let's do this. Just a disclaimer, the questions are probably going to be quite jumbled up because I've pulled these albums out and I will answer them as they come, if that's all right with you. Right, first question. An album sleeve that I'd like to walk into. I really gave this a lot of thought, really pondering. I wanted to go for a sleeve done by Hipgnosis. I finally chose Elegy by The Nice. Now, the story goes, Hipgnosis, who just had crazy ideas in the 70s, actually went to the Sahara Desert, took hundreds of inflatable balls that you see here, these red balls, blew them up there, laid them out, photographed them. I mean, nowadays that would be probably quite easy to reproduce, but back then that was crazy. And I think, yeah, that is great. I would just like to walk into that just to kind of see how far they went. Crazy. Incidentally, with Hipgnosis album sleeves, there's a fantastic documentary out there at the moment. I think it's on Netflix or a similar streaming platform. It's called Squaring the Circle. If you haven't seen it, I urge you to watch it. It's absolutely brilliant. The story of Hipgnosis. It's got loads of top musicians on there talking about them. Really good. Okay, 2 albums. One that you think everyone's got and one you think nobody's got. So the one that I think that everyone probably will have is Revolver, the Beatles. No introduction needed. Now, the reason I went for Revolver as a Beatles album is that, in my humble opinion, I just feel that this is the most popular choice. Excuse the barking out there. I think this is the most popular Beatles album at the moment. I really do. For years and years and years, as I was growing up, really getting into the Beatles and getting into music, what was their best album? It was always Sgt. Pepper. That was it. You didn't argue with that. But I think Sgt. Pepper's really been kind of, it's still great, but it's been knocked off the top spot. And even albums like Abbey Road and the White Album probably would be higher up in the polls. But Revolver, although I think it's great, it's not my absolute, it's one of my favourites. I think everyone's surely got a copy of this. This is just a regular 70s pressing, -2 matrix on the Parlophone label. Cheap and easy to get, not remastered or anything. Sounds brilliant. Lovely. So the album that I think that no one else has got is this. It's a French-Canadian prog band, progressive rock band, by Manège. I'm not too 100% how to pronounce it, and I think the album is pronounced La Porchée. As I say, French-Canadian, very obscure, not a lot for sale on Discogs. It's released in the UK on Capitol. I've never seen it in the world, never seen it at all. Side 1 is lengthy tracks, very symphonic. Side 2, more of a jazz rock fusion vein. The reason I'm very certain that no one else has got this is because it's a white label test pressing. The album itself is pretty rare enough, but white label test pressing, what can I say? What makes it weird is where I got hold of this. I got hold of this from the local refuse centre when I was disposing of some dining room chairs. Refuse centre in the UK, we commonly call it the tip or the dump. And they had a small shop there, and amongst all the kind of charity shop style records, I pulled this out not knowing what it was and took it home. And they even gave it to me for free. They couldn't be bothered to get the card machine out to take the small amount of money for it. So yeah, who knows what it was doing there. It's a bizarre find. I just thought it looked interesting. Long hair and beards, it's going to be right up my alley. So yeah, very interesting find, but I think it could be, could be the only one on the bloody planet as far as I'm concerned. Artist listened to most this year. Oh, Really don't know. I'm only going to take a quick guess at this one. With Peter Gabriel, because I picked up 3 of his albums this year and really enjoyed them and played them quite a lot. It's albums number 1, 2 and 4. This is number 4. Yeah, what more can I say? I don't know, I haven't kept statistics, but in my mind it probably is Peter Gabriel. Show an album from 1974. Now, I'm not going to talk about this one too much because I actually plan, there's a future video idea I've got where I'm going to talk about this more. But this at the moment is one of my greatest albums of all time. Double album, it's Genesis, it's The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. That was released in 1974. I would take up too much of this video if I really had to speak about this album. So we'll save that for a later one. A Funkle Soul record. This one, excuse me, this one I've been playing a bit recently. I've had it for a little while but not got round to playing it. 1973, the drummer Chili Charles. This is on Virgin Records. This is a great funky record, quite varied really. It incorporates a few other styles into it, but primarily I would definitely class it as a funk record, and really great recording, some great session musicians backing him. And it's an original on the upside down, the Virgin label. Never seen it in the wild anywhere, but if you look on Discogs, they go for peanuts. There's loads of them. So if you fancy a punt on it, if you do see it out in the wild, it's a great album. Busy Corner, Chili Charles. Name a band that released 2 or more albums in 1 year. Now I've gone for more than 2. I had to think about this. I had quite a few choices, but I decided to go for Fairport Convention. So we got 1969, What We Did on Our Holidays, I should say. Unhalfbricking. And finally of the year, Liege and Leaf. Quick word, 3 in a year, I mean that's quite remarkable in itself, but bear in mind between Unhalfbricking and Liege and Leaf, Fairport Convention were on tour. Their tour bus crashed after or on the way to a gig. The band members were injured and it tragically claimed the life of the drummer and the partner of one of the band members, and yet they still after that got themselves together, regrouped, little lineup shuffle, and recorded probably their best known album in the space of probably around 6 months. It's astonishing, isn't it? It's absolutely astonishing. I mean, you don't get that today anyway, people releasing it, but to go through that tragedy, that trauma, but still keep going, yeah, it honestly, it blows my mind. Right, show an album you bought as a teenager. So I started collecting records in December 1993. I've just passed the 30-year mark, which I can't believe. I really can't believe what a journey it's been. So I've just had my anniversary. I was 15 years of age and I was going straight into the kind of classic rock rig. Plenty of albums to choose from. Bought as a teenager. I thought I'd show something really, really special, kind of a grail of mine, and something really excellent. This is Locomotive, We Are Everything You See. It's their only album. They started as a ska band, released quite a lot of singles. But they went psychedelic and released this absolute psych masterpiece in 1969. What's great about this is that I didn't, for the late 90s, being a sort of, an 18-ish year old, I mean, I paid £40 for it, which is probably quite a lot of money. But now, if I hadn't have bought it then, I would never have bought it. It was, I didn't realise at the time it was a complete kind of once in a lifetime opportunity. So I'm stoked to have it because it is an original on Parlophone. I highly recommend it. If you can get original, good luck to you. But it has been reissued, so I really recommend that one. It's a fantastic record. Show an artist from Manchester. I haven't seen this on the thread yet. I went for In Spiral Carpets. And this is the Find Out Why EP. Very, very generous on the playing time. The track on side 2, I think it is this one, yeah. Track on side 2 called Plane Crash clocks in at a nice 20 minutes. So for an EP, this is very, very good value for money. I don't hear enough love for In Spiral Carpets, and it does throw up the question, when you think of Manchester, the scene and the genre of Manchester, were there any other bands apart from this lot, Happy Mondays and Stone Roses? I had this conversation with some friends recently, and without sort of, getting our phones out and looking it up, was it just 3 bands, or were there more? Obviously let me know in the comments. Always eager to learn. So, show a great classic album from the 1990s. Right, I did talk about this one recently, and I gushed about it in an early video when I recently played it. I've gone for Last Splash by the Breeders. This is a phenomenal record. I think when I talked about it recently, I was like, yeah, it's the best album from the 90s. And do you know what? Yeah, I'm going to stick with that opinion. It's dream pop, grunge, psychedelia, Americana. What a blend! What a blend of styles. It's incredible. It really, really is. It is out there on reissue, so I mean, if you don't know it, for goodness sake, give it a listen. This is great. Lucky to have an original of this. Bought many years ago on eBay when I was into my bidding, and I got it for a nice price, which was good. That's probably a good 15 odd years ago I got that. Now, great question. My favourite question of it. Name an album that runs like a greatest hits. Oh, that is a great question, and I immediately knew the answer. The reason I knew the answer is because I've been pondering this album even before this thread came out. I've been pondering this album for some time, and I've always been calling it like a nigh on greatest hits. I feel that about more than 50% of this band's kind of recognised work is on this album. And there are so many tracks that I hear on the radio all the time, but I don't get bored of this album. It's a great one. We're talking about is Parallel Lines by Blondie. So it isn't the greatest hits. It's their 3rd record. We all, I think everybody knows it. It could actually be a contender for an album that everyone's got in their collection as well, a bit like Revolver. But when you look at it, hanging on the before I go in, I can't remember, and I haven't looked up what were released as singles and what weren't. I know 1 or 2 of them. Hanging on the Telephone, probably a hit single, could be a hit single on the radio, one way or another. I hear that on the radio all the time. I don't know if it was released as a single. Picture This, single material. Pretty Baby, single material. Sunday Girl could be a hit single. We know we got Heart of Glass. I mean, that was the big hitter, and it's weird that it's buried away on track 4 side 2. That's the last position I think a sort of hit single like that should be on. So it's strange, but fantastic record. French issue, this one, French original on Chrysalis, and it's got I quite like this unique hype sticker on advertising the aforementioned Heart of Glass single. So yeah, without a doubt, runs like a greatest hits. On the subs bench, I would have said Dare by Human League. That's a bit like a greatest hits for me, and that's also a great record. Female artists. Females are great. Show a female artist you bought this year. I think I only probably bought 2, and I haven't even played this one yet. I have shown it though. It's New York Tenderberry by Laura Nyro. Great stuff. Got a couple of her other albums, do like her, but yeah, it's still to be played, that one. The best album you bought in 2023. I touched on some of the best ones in my Christmas video, but I had to narrow it down. Now, my favourite one that I played in 2023 was Isaac Hayes' Hot Buttered Soul, but I bought it in 2022, so I can't count that. But if I'd have bought it in 2023, it would have been that. However, I think the best one, we're going to go with Killing Joke's Brighter Than a Thousand Suns. Oh, man alive. This is absolutely brilliant. The bombast and the, harshness of Killing Joke, but it's just got that little bit of mid-80s sheen and polish without going too far down that kind of, you know, commercial rabbit hole. The balance of it is just right. As I understand, I don't believe this is one of their most popular albums, but I absolutely adore it. It's brilliant. If you see it, pick it up. It's wonderful. It really is. So pleased to get that. Okay, so an album, or the last album you bought in 2023. I think the last one, what I physically purchased last, I took a trip to Arundel. Great record shop. I have made a video on Arundel before. If you haven't watched it, do check it out. But yeah, a lovely shop in Arundel. I went for a nice day out with my wife and our dog Rollo. And I bought 3 records, and as I recall, this is the last one I pulled out of the rack to buy. And it is Tsubayami, the debut album, or as they later became, Gary Newman. This is a reissue, early reissue. Originals were different cover, blue vinyl, very, very hard to come by and cost a lot of money, although I would very much like one. I haven't played this one yet. I do like, I've got a couple of the later records. I do like his work, but yeah, look forward to playing it. It was a nice find. Right, remaining questions. So, 7 inches. Show 7 inches. Right, okay. I've got these all in one box. Lovely wooden box with Decca on. Just to disclaim, I'm not a huge collector of 7 inches. In fact, this is all I got. I'm more of an albums guy, but I do, if I see a 7 inch I want, I will pick it up. So yeah, let's pick you some up. Right, I'll start with my favourite 7 inch. I absolutely adore this track. This is The Damned Eloise. Fantastic mid-80s cover. I adore it. It makes me feel so happy. I've actually got the 12 inch version of this as well, and I don't care for it at all. It's extended, but I just think they're sort of noodling around too much on it, so I much prefer the 7 inch. What have we got here? Punishment of Luxury, great post-punk band. I think I've talked about Punishment of Luxury before. That's a non-album track. We've got The Colonel, which was Colin Moulding from XTC, Terry Chambers from XTC as well, and a couple of others. Too Many Cooks in the Kitchen and I Need Protection. It's essential for any XTC fan, and if you watch my XTC ranking videos, you'll realise I am a bit of a fan. Wild Things, double 7 inch EP by The Creatures. There we go. Got Susie and Budgie having a steamy shower there. What else do we have in here? What else? Oh, lovely. Vertigo. We've got Joybringer, Manfred Mann's Earth Band. Non-album track, fantastic. It's a great track, that one. Adam and the Ants. Young Parisians. Is that? No? Yeah, that is what it is. And Xerox as well, by Adam and the Ants. Cozy Powell. Dance with the Devil. Fabulous. Never on it. He didn't do an album until years later, but it's an amazing drumming track. To have it. Oh, Tonight Today, DBM&T. There's the later incarnation of Dave D, Dozy, Beacon, Mick and Titch. I know I've raved about their album before. Wonderful stuff. I think that could be it. Is that 7? Right, we'll do one more. I might be roughly 7. Silver Machine, Hawkwind, there we are. Again, non-album. I think it might be on live ones, but this particular release, yeah, it was single only. Shame about this one. It really just doesn't play good. It's like in mint condition, but that's the problem with these 7 inches. They're not fidelity. They're not for the fidelity. They're quite novel to have, and there's some good tracks. But there we go. Right, the final questions, the ones that I won't hold anything up. So, what is the best video that you've done, i.e. me, have done this year? Without a doubt, my visit to Rise Above Records in November. So apart from the fact that it was such a great shop, great visit, I think my passion for this shop probably did come across in the video, and I got some great finds, and the video is, I would say it's done well, it's doing well, the views just keep going up and up and up on it. What's so great about it is that judging by some of the comments, I feel like a good few people from the vinyl community are going to go there. So I like to feel I've put a bit of business, or will put a bit of business their way. Rise Above Records on their Facebook group were gracious enough to post a video on their Facebook page, giving me extra views. So it was a good video, loved the experience, but it just feels like everybody's helping everybody else out. And yeah, that's really quite nice. I can't wait to go back. I do plan to go back in the next couple of months for another visit. I need to just buy more, get it out of my system. So if you haven't watched that video, have a trawl through. It's about 2 or 3 videos back. Rise Above Record and Relics, fantastic. Your favourite decade? Do you want to have a guess? 70s, of course. I could talk about this all day long. I've argued about this in probably over several beers in a pub. What can I say? Progressive rock, my favourite genre. Glam, folk rock, punk, post-punk. It's just a huge, colourful melting pot of styles, genres, and just everything in the entire decade is just part of, you know, musical history. I know the 60s had their place, the 80s had their place, and the 90s as well. Don't get me wrong, there's lots from those genres, but nothing can touch the 70s. It really can't. If you could only listen to music from one country, what would it be? It would be the UK. For some reason, I feel uncomfortable giving this answer. Yeah, I'm going to go UK. I'm not going to go into the reasons why. I just feel it is the best. Without going off on a rant, it really is the only thing we've done best at. Yeah, there it is. Channels. Name 3 channels that you've discovered this year. I'm going to name a few, actually. I'm going to go more than 3. So at the start of the year, I went to the Southampton Record Fair in January. I think I documented it on a video. I met Richard Warwick, who's got a great channel, top bloke. He always sells at the Southampton Fair. Martin from Martin's Vinyl, fantastic channel. Shows a lot, fairly similar stuff that I do. He likes his blues and all that. Top man, please check out. If you haven't seen his videos, check it out. Psych Derek, he's in Omaha, the USA. As the title goes, he concentrates on a lot of psychedelia, mainly from the USA. Shows an awful lot of stuff I've not heard of. It really is a sort of the kind of videos I need to get pen and paper out, jot things down, and then I'm straight onto Discogs looking them up after watching his videos. Very great. Suffolk Audiophile, very, very good. Yeah, started watching him a few months ago. He shows all sorts of interesting stuff. New releases and box sets, things like that. Not to get confused with the Suffolk Record Collector, who I've been watching for some time, Chris. I could listen to Chris all day long. Fantastic channel. And finally, Sorin Vinyl, spelled S-O-R-I-N, Sorin Vinyl. I'm not too sure. I think it is fairly new to this year. He's over in the States. I'm not too sure. I think he's a young lad. I don't know how old he is. But he's just banging to it. He's getting so much stuff in, and again, he likes a lot of the stuff that I like, but at the same time, it is showing things that I've never heard of. There's a lot of prog rock, psychedelia, things from the golden era of the late 60s and early 70s. And he's got his friend with him a lot of the time, who's called Yesterday's Trips, although I think Yesterday's Trips, he's only done a couple of videos, but he's often mentioned and as a kind of associate. So there we are. Sorry, more than 3. I had to. Best videos from other members through the year. Oh, difficult, because there are so many. They've been great. There have been some great ones through the year. I'd like to mention them all. Back to Martin's Vinyl, he did one where he was unboxing it was kind of like a novelty album. It's music that his daughter listened to, and he managed to get a hold of this record, a very obscure record, and he showed it to his daughter and did a needle drop on it. I thought that was really sweet, really charming, just something really, really different. Martin actually mentioned this video back in his own vinyl tag, and he said it didn't get very many views, which is it's just a real shame because it's just such a great video. There was one I watched, Harris Pilton. Harris Pilton's videos are great. They're so entertaining. The man is just so knowledgeable, and you know, he was there for it all. It was so much of what he shows he was there for. He bought things on day of release. But there was one thread where you had to sort of put all these albums or artists in a chain. They were like, you know, show 20 artists and kind of link them together. But he did it, and then he brought it back into a loop and brought it back to album number 1. I thought that was so clever. And a big shout out, everyone's been shouting out to this lot in their threads, the Vinyl Hunters. Their channel is absolutely flying at the moment. I mean, their subs are going up, and for very good reason. So Jake and his grandfather, Papa Dave, they're going round various fairs and shops in London and kind of the surrounding areas. And we're kind of, you know, it's crate digging on location and then showing what they got at the end. But there's lots of banter, picking up lots of great stuff and just showing lots and lots of great establishments. Their most recent video, which isn't this year, it's just in 2024, is Jake went to meet a bloke called Barry Winton, who's got 30,000 records. Now, I had to pick myself up when that video came on because Barry is actually an old acquaintance, old mate of mine. I've bought several records from him way back. I mean, we're going back into sort of late 90s, early noughties when I was trying to trace down all the obscure prog, and he really did sell me some good stuff. You know, this was back when it was pricey but still affordable. So it was great to see that video, and it's jaw-dropping what he's got in his flat in London. So do check that out if you haven't done already. Musician that's passed away this year, I went for Andy Rourke by the Smiths. Great loss, you know, no age really, he was in his 50s, wasn't he? Correct me if I'm wrong. What to say about Andy Rourke? Fantastic musician, amazing bass player. You know, it's funky what he did, you know, it's like a lead bass player, and it complemented the more, you know, I know Johnny Marr in the Smiths, he was incredibly versatile, but he was ultimately a rhythm player. And I think that Andy Rourke was much more of a kind of lead bass player and complemented the playing. I've always argued that Andy Rourke and drummer Mike Joyce, if he didn't have them in the Smiths, I don't think the Smiths would be half the band that they actually were. I know you've got, you know, the writing and the playing of the main two members, but the rhythm section just, it gives it the foundation. It just gives it that solidarity, the cream on top. Without those two, yeah, you know, they are as good as Morrissey and Marr at their respective instruments. And the final question: dinner party. Invite 4 musicians, artists to dinner. Who would you have? This was the most difficult question. First off, was easy. Andy Partridge, XTC. If I could meet any musician, or do you know what, any living human, it would be him. I don't know what I'd be like. I think I'd be a bit starstruck. I don't know if I'd be able to eat my dinner. But God, yeah, the man is so interesting, so funny, and he's just the greatest songwriter for my favourite band ever. I think he'd be incredible to have. So Andy Partridge. The other 3, yeah, pondered, so many choices, and then it just came to me. So the remaining 3 members all have a lot in common. They're all bass players. All of them were in very, very successful bands, mainly in the 70s. All of them were in bands that were incredibly flamboyant and showmanship-like on stage, but they themselves really didn't do much, you know, didn't do too much showmanship at all. They were amazing musicians, but quite still. All of them are called John. So we have got John Deacon from Queen, John Entwistle from The Who. I think, are we allowed Dead or Alive? I've gone with Dead or Alive. Entwistle no longer with us. And John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin. The reason I went for those 3 is that they fascinate me. They are all or were all such private individuals. You rarely got interviews with them. You rarely heard them speak. They were, you know, they were all songwriters. They were all just fantastic musicians. You know, absolutely. I mean, John Entwistle, in my opinion, was kind of probably the best musician in the Who. He was, I mean, he was unbelievable. But because I think of these kind of, you know, the enigma that surrounds these gentlemen, I just think they've always fascinated me, and I'm like, right, okay, wouldn't it be great to get them together, ask them a load of questions, have a chat with them? I mean, good luck getting John Deacon at a dinner party. I mean, he's quite a recluse now. I think the sort of people out and about, if they see him, they're amazed. He's just a regular guy. He's just retired from music, which is absolutely fair enough. But yeah, it just kind of adds to the mystique. So yeah, that's who I go for. So there we are. Right, I think that's all the questions. I don't think there's anything, I've got them all listed here. I don't think there's anything I've missed out. So yeah, that'll be it. That's it for another year. We'll probably be back in 2025, so doing another one. So again, Rob Walker, well done for setting the questions. Very, very good indeed. There's plenty of other videos on this topic to go through. So please stay tuned to the channel. I've got lots of video ideas coming for the year. There's going to be record buying trips and the likes. So if you like what you see, do hit the like button. It'd be lovely if you gave me a sub. And please, if you see any of these other channels I mentioned or anything else, do sub them as well, because it just helps the algorithms and it helps all these channels grow. So anyway, till the next time, thank you for tuning in as always. Take care. See you later.